Hey everybody, it's Andre Shirdan, and I'm here with another friend from the dental industry, Fred Joyal. How are you, sir?
Fantastic. Ready to go.
Good to see you. Fred is one of my favorite authors, speakers, entrepreneurs, business advisors, and so many people know him as the face of 1-800 Dentist. So if he looks familiar, you probably remember him. I actually was in a hotel years ago, and they had a TV in the mirror, and I saw his face there. So it was kind of odd to see him in my bathroom. But I'm a big fan of his books, and I have over here on my bookshelf, I have a bunch of his books, and I've actually given them out as gifts in my some of my speaking gigs. But my favorite book title is here is Everything is Marketing, which I live by. And his current book, which you can see over his shoulder there, is entitled Super Bold. And that's going to be a good one. I can't wait to read it. Fred, welcome.
Great to be here, Andre. Always great to see you. We miss each other on the road these days, but
Yeah.
we'll get back to it.
Sounds good. Yeah. And you got my 6 questions. So I don't ever want anybody to be a deer in the headlights with these questions. So this is going to be fun because I always like hearing these kinds of things. So let's get ready for question number one. Compare yourself to compare yourself to yourself at a fork in the road. Pick a fork in the road. I mean, I know you just had on social media, everybody saw that you had a big car crash. That's a fork. But tell us about a fork in the road.
Not much of one.
Now, tell us about a fork that you hit and what you were before and after that fork.
It's great to actually think about this and reflect on when things shifted. And for me, it happened when I walked into an advertising agency for the first time, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I liked to write. I wasn't getting good at it. And I had done all kinds of jobs. I was completely aimless. I had no ambition except to bum around and make enough money to keep bumming around. I lived in Europe for 6 months, and I did carpet laying, house painting, bartending, sold frozen meat door to door. There was just, the list just goes on, probably 50 things that I did just for money. And then I walked in, saw an ad agency, felt the vibe of it. Now you feel the vibe in many places. And I just said, these are my people. I could do this. Because I was not a great employee. I didn't like working for people. I didn't like working that much. And then I realized this is a way to write and make money. And it made me a much better writer, because I had to go to school. In order to get the job, I had to go to night school for 6 months, taught by creative directors in the ad business. It was a very unique school, but it sharpened my writing skills so that I was effectively communicating really concisely with the words that I used. And that led to very quickly being bold enough to start 1-800 Dentist, which is from which everything blossomed in my life. Was that bold move to start my own business, be young and naive enough to think I could do it with a good friend of mine. And it succeeded beyond our wildest expectations and expanded me in ways I could have never imagined.
Yeah.
So that was the point. That was the inflection point for me.
Yeah. And, it's crazy. You're right. Advertising does have a vibe. It has a feel. And it is my youngest son is the social media director for one of the biggest ad firms here in Philadelphia. And it's his people. It really fit for him. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate the way you said that. So that's fantastic. And, if not for that fork in the road, hey, we might not have ever met in the capacity we have in the world of dental. This is interesting. Like I said, this has been an interesting dig into some of the ways that we all kind of came together,
Yes, I certainly would not have picked dentistry for any other reason except I had that phone number. There's no other reason that would have been my career path. I didn't go to dental school. I wasn't that dialed into. I had a great dentist, but that was it.
Yeah.
So it would have not happened. I would have gone some other way in advertising. Who knows which way?
Yeah. It's funny. Talk about forks in the road. I have in college. I was an art major. I grabbed the book Ogilvy on Advertising. I don't know if you remember that book, but I grabbed that book and that I said, that's my life. That's what I want to do. And obviously I took a different fork in the road and wound up in dentistry. So
yeah. Well, I have this book. I'm going to make it so you can see it.
Oh yeah.
I still have this dog-eared copy. This is George Lois. And the subtitle, George Be Careful, that's the title. He came up in the 60s in that whole new wave of advertising. He did all of those really interesting Esquire covers in the 60s and all sorts of incredibly creative stuff. When I read this book, that's when I said, oh, absolutely, this is it. And that's what somebody in the agency gave me. The manager of the agency said, I'm not hiring you. Read this book and go to school. Go to ad school for 6 months, and then I'll get you a job.
That's it.
And so awesome. I keep the book as this talisman that from this point, from this book and that moment, everything happened.
Yeah, it's funny. So let's talk about books. So question number 2 is, what is the book that everyone should read and should be reading over and over again?
I want to give you 2 answers because good. I love fiction. So my favorite book, my favorite novel of all time is Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. A Pulitzer Prize winner, really long book, but it is really the deepest study of men in that time and the challenges, the emotional challenges of a complex friendship in a changing country, just incredibly powerfully moving and just an amazing adventure. And so if you want to read one of the best books you'll ever read that. That's but cool. In terms of healing yourself and moving yourself to a different place, it's Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
Okay, that one I haven't heard.
Viktor Frankl is a concentration camp survivor, and his insights into human nature and human endurance in the face of struggle, and extracting wisdom and positivity from that. You could mine that for the rest of your life. If you read it every year, you go, oh yeah, that's because we don't have it tough. That's first of all, when you read that, you go, I have it. Everything I'm complaining about is stupid. but it's beyond that. It is life wisdom. It is because imagine the struggle for meaning when you're in a concentration camp and when you survive it, because surviving it is very challenging. You have survivor guilt. You have thousands of deaths on your mind. Probably most of your family. How do you find meaning in life at that point? Now, and we just, the Wi-Fi stopped. We can't find meaning anymore. So it's finding something deeper in yourself to figure out what's important. It's such a powerful thing to be able to stay focused on what's really important and really not get bogged down in what is not.
This is true, especially over the last 2 years. I mean, so many people have, again, this is another deflection point where a lot of people had to choose another path, and reading books like that really make a difference. I mean, it's funny. I get to watch, I get the pleasure of watching Gunsmoke every week. I sit with my mom over the weekend and we watch Gunsmoke together, and I watched it as a child, but now again, at a different stage in your life and going, this is what was going on at that time. It makes a whole different storyline. It's a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. That's a good one. I've got to pull that one out and find that book. So, okay. So let's go. Question number 3. Give me 1 or 2 of your favorite quotes.
So, Tommy Lasorda, LA Dodgers manager, he said, there are people who make stuff happen there are people who watch stuff happen, and there are people who wonder what happened.
It's a great one.
And it's and who do you want to be? I want to be the one who makes stuff happen.
Yeah. That's an awesome one. I love that.
Well, one is from Viktor Frankl, and I'm going to paraphrase it because you want to be able to understand it. And it's that the pause between reaction and response is where the opportunity for growth and wisdom occur.
I love it.
And so that it's important to remember what that means. It means you don't have to respond immediately to anything. Decide how you want to respond. Put that pause in, because a lot of us just react immediately. Yep. With an email, with the response, with a sarcastic reaction, with a face, with a judgment, all of those things. The more you put that time in, especially if it's very intense in some way, or feels like an attack, or feels like somebody's wronging you or insulting you or whatever, you don't have to necessarily respond.
Yep.
And 9 times out of 10, when you pause, your response will be different, because you're going to think about what's my intention, what is the result I want, instead of just reacting. That's an animal thing. That's like, oh, here's my reaction. Mm-hmm. Instead of, okay, they said this, they did this. How do I want to affect this? What's the outcome I'm looking for? Do I want to just top them with something meaner? Do I want to yell louder at my spouse? What do I want to do? And it's an amazing thing to adapt to your life, because that's where the growth and the wisdom occurs in your life. Yeah,
that's awesome. It reminds me, my dad used to always say to us, it's okay to say, I'll get back to you about that. Because if you don't know the answer, you can find the answer. If you want to calm down from something, but he said, it always gives you time to reframe what you were thinking. So I love that. It's a good one. And so let's go to question number 4, which was what's the high-tech thing, no battery, no plug, that you can't live without?
No battery, no plug. What kind of high-tech thing is that?
I'm sorry. Has to have a battery. Has to have a plug. There we go. Has to have a battery. Has to have a plug. Yeah,
I need it.
Yeah.
It's my laptop, because it does everything. I could live without a phone, because I could always text and email people. But it's got my books, it's got all my notes, it's got all my pictures, it's got all my videos. It can make videos, it can make Zoom calls. It is, if there's a fire, the laptop's coming with me. And then everything else, maybe the cat gets taken out too. But this is, and it's a wonderful thing, because I can be anywhere in the world with this thing and do what I do.
Yeah.
And that's pretty fantastic, and do everything that I do. As long as there's some sort of connection, like a Wi-Fi connection, I am unlimited in my capacity. Yeah. I could be on an airplane, or in Fiji, or in Borneo. It doesn't matter. Or my bedroom.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. That's a good one. So now let's go back to the one, what is the low-tech thing? Now, this is the one that can't have a battery and can't have a plug. What was the low-tech thing you can't live without?
Oh, I can't have a plug, because otherwise it would be my vegetable steamer. Nothing gets more use than that thing. I actually finally, I had one 20 years, I finally killed it, but it has a plug. So the low-tech thing that I use, I got to go grab it. Is my 5-minute journal.
That's it.
Every morning I get up and I write 3 things I'm grateful for, 3 things that would make today great.
That's awesome.
Daily affirmations. And then at the end of the day, I write 3 amazing things that happened today, and how I could have made today even better. What was one thing I could have done to make today even better? This jumpstarts my day with gratitude and a plan If you know the 3 things you're trying to get done in the day before you check your email or text or anything else, you're off and running. If you start to let that stuff take your time, you'll invariably miss 1, 2, or all 3 of those things, because the world noise will come at you. The urgent, unimportant will come at you furiously.
That's the best line in the whole world. The urgent, unimportant. That's the truth. That's awesome. Is that something you bought, or is that? Let's see the cover
yeah,
again.
You can buy these if you search 5-minute journal.
Okay.
It's all filled in. It's all
awesome.
Pages where you that are laid out, and you just write in the date at the top. But I do it every single day. It's cool. I have coffee. I sit down and I do this.
I'm going to put a link for that right in the notes at the bottom of this. So that's awesome. I love it. Okay, so here's let's wrap it up with question number 6, which is, what advice would you give Fred at that fork in the road? Go back to the fork in the road where you took it. What advice would you give yourself?
Well, it's interesting because I wrote a book called Super Bold about how to cultivate the superpower of boldness, because that's what I had to develop. I grew up as a very shy, underconfident, hesitant person, and I was missing all sorts of opportunities, and I couldn't figure out how bold people were the way they were. I thought they were just born that way, but I eventually got so angry and frustrated at the opportunities I kept missing, and this thing that was holding me back, that I ground my way through it gradually over years and years, to the point where now I can walk on stage and 5,000 people are there, and I can't wait to start speaking. I'm not anxious at all. I'm fully energized, and I'll walk up to anybody and meet anybody. So my advice would be probably trifold. It would be, learn how to be bolder. Get in your discomfort zone and tolerate it till you get bolder. And the other one would be, learn to love feedback. Seek it out, crave it, accept it in the spirit it's given, but take it in. That is the best way to get better, is somebody else's feedback. It is impossible to critique yourself effectively. You can do it more now with video. It's pretty easy to watch a video of yourself and go, what am I doing? What's with the grabbing my nose every time I say something, or whatever weird tick you come up with, or why do I say so at the beginning of every sentence, or whatever the heck it is. But in terms of a good friend or a good coach tells you where you're messing up candidly and irrefutably. There's nothing in it for them except to make you better. So learn to accept it that way. So that's powerful. And the other thing I would have said was, work harder on the creative stuff. Be much more ruthless in the editing of my own material. Go deeper into creativity, but learn how to be creative. The reason I say this is there was a great podcast I listened to with somebody who was on Saturday Night Live, and he said, you learned that everything could be edited and improved, every single thing that you do, and you get so that you crush everything into a diamond by the time it's done. And he said, everybody should learn to do that, and everybody should learn that some of your stuff's just crap, and it's okay. Don't get attached to everything you create, because it doesn't make you bad. I remember early on in my ad world career, I had written this TV spot, and my creative director said, it's not good. It's not funny. And I said, you don't think I'm funny? And he said, no, I think you're funny. The spot's not funny. Yeah. And that was an awakening. It's like, no, it's not me. He's not attacking me. He's saying this is crap. Make it better. get out of my office and make it better. But I should have really, I wish I had learned that earlier, and I wish I had applied much more in my life.
Yeah. I had a high school graphics designer teacher. I went to an art school in high school, and then obviously went to college for design. And this guy was like a drill sergeant. I mean, he broke down everything I did, but by the time I got into a real, arena to do art, it got past that critique stage, and everything now was just tweaking to get better. And that's the truth. You got to be ready to critique yourself and have somebody openly critique you too. So it makes all the difference in the world. So that's awesome. So here's a question I didn't give you ahead of time, but it's a underhand toss. So it's going to be an easy one. So here's the question: Fred is who he is because of hard work or luck?
I'm gonna say luck, because I'm not a crazy hard worker. I can be super focused, but and some people will say you're working really hard, and I'll say no. 12 hours of focus is not hard work for me, because I'm doing what I love doing, and I'm getting somewhere. So that just is stimulating to me. I'm not a big believer in hard work. I'm a big believer in smart work. There's other people that do what I do much better. The great thing of having a company of 250 people is I realized that every single person was doing what they did better than I could do it.
Yeah.
And so I didn't attach any ego to the success of 1-800-DENTIST. Even the commercials, they would say, we're going to put you in the commercial, and the director would be, do it again. And I was just an actor in the commercial. It was really an interesting experience, because he was empowered to say, yeah, that's not good. One more time. Or whatever he wanted. And it was the collaboration experience is just, when you, and that's the thing that a shy or underconfident person doesn't collaborate well, because we can't take any feedback, we can't take any criticism, we can't be wrong, even though everybody's wrong a good percentage of the time. That you get better by being wrong, and somebody saying what's wrong, and you get to learn to do it right.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, I really appreciate you doing this. I mean, we were trying to get our schedules together, and we finally got a chance to do this. So what else is going on in your world? I mean, tell me about the book, how the book is going, and are you on the road now? I mean,
I am on the road a lot, actually. I am doing keynotes for Super Bowl to businesses who want to elevate their teams. And I'm very passionate about the superpower of boldness, how it can impact your life, and how we need more bold people. And I want people to lead fulfilling lives where at the end, they're not saying, oh, I played it safe the whole way and it was great. I want, if that's what you're looking for, don't read the book. This is about having a really exciting, satisfying, love-filled, adventurous life where you chase your dreams. People give up on their dreams not because they're hard, it's because they don't get to them every day. They think they have more time. You don't have more time. You got you're in the game of life, but you don't know how long the coach is going to let you play. So play full out. And so what I'm doing is I'm coaching CEOs as well, a handful of CEOs who can tap into my 30 years of business expertise and 30 years of mistakes, some of them quite massive. I basically say, I'm going to teach you to hit different potholes than I hit, and not hit them at top speed. And so that's very satisfying too, because it's always great to, especially young entrepreneurs, to take them and say, you realize how long it took you to learn this thing that they don't know, and you get to tell them in their 20s or 30s, don't do that. Yeah. Just do that a different way. And they say, oh, really? Why? And you can tell them why by what happened to you, what you observed happen in business. And of course, the book is out there. You can go to fredjoyal.com and download the first chapter of it. Download the exercises in the book. If you're reading it on Kindle, it's on Kindle and Audible. It's me reading it, and on hardcover as well, all on Amazon. It's not in bookstores because it's a self-published book, so you have to order it somehow.
Yeah.
But fredjoyal.com is how you find out more about me and everything I'm doing.
Awesome. Well, now I'm going to put the link down here. And Fred, I really appreciate you doing this. And I'm sure everybody's got to eat this up. But this is great info. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's great to do it. Thank you.
See you soon.
Take care, Andre.